Hello, my name's Ben.
And my name is Josh.
And welcome back to FPL Graduates. Welcome back to another Friday stream from the boys. And we're kind of just in the mud at the minute. Like, what are we meant to do on the weekend?
I know, no FPL this week, but we still are going to have a good live stream. And we've got a really good guest that we're going to talk a lot of different things and a lot of important things coming up as well. Like after this international break part of the season. It's FPL Eze. How are you doing, mate?
Hi guys, thanks for inviting me on. Really good, thank you. How are you guys doing?
We're always doing good. Not so much with no FPL, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself, who you support, why you support them, and who you are in the FPL space?
Yeah, of course. So on Twitter I'm FPL Eze, but my name's Stephen. I joined the FPL community sort of around Gameweek 30 last season because I had a pretty good season last year, so I thought I'd join in and basically boast about my rank for a bit. And not going as well this year, but no, great to be part of the FPL community. I write for All About FPL, and I'm also pretty close with the FPL Juice guys as well. So give a bit of Palace content for them. So I support Crystal Palace, obviously, as you could tell from FPL Eze. So much happier in this year than in previous years. But that's about me.
I mean, it's great to have a Palace fan on because now I can talk about my Michael Aliso agenda with absolutely everyone. Wow, what a signing for you guys has been. I'm a Reading fan, so it stung me so much when he left, but it's good to see he's getting some minutes on the pitch and he's starting to produce some results. What have you made of Michael Aliso so far this season?
I mean, when he signed, obviously, I knew the hype about him. I knew he was a really good youngster, but I don't watch too much of the Championship myself, so it was still a bit, will he take the step up? But from his cameo appearances off the bench, I've fallen in love with him already. I mean, the way he plays, he's just so free-flowing. And, I thought when he came off the bench and he started scoring, I was like, we've got a player here. And, I think Vieira's being a bit cautious with him still. He doesn't want to fully chuck him in just yet. But I think, if we keep hold of him, it's really exciting for us. I love the look of him.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary. It's scary, Josh. They've got Aliso, who's pretty much the best football player in the world. Eze to come back. Edouard up front. Zaha. Like, the options are endless, aren't they, Josh?
Yeah, and you mentioned Conor Gallagher, who's arguably probably your best player this season. Have you had any Palace assets so far this season? Like, how have you picked any up so far?
In FPL, funnily enough, the only player I have earned is Aliso. I got him in as a punt on a wild card because I wildcarded quite early, and I think he'd just come off the bench and scored. I was like, I'm going for it, and I've got a few assists off him, but I want to see him starting. But I'm always the sort of manager that stays off Palace players, especially in the past. I don't want to. I have to watch them lose most weeks. So I don't want to have them in FPL as well. But hopefully, this year that's changing.
Yeah, good stuff. So right, we'll move on and we'll go through our teams from last week. Obviously, it's been a while, but we'll just run through them pretty quickly. Ben, do you want to go through yours first?
Yeah, I'll go through mine first. So this is what my team was looking like for the past game week. Obviously, it was a very interesting game week in terms of point scoring. A lot of high point scorers and a lot of low ones as well. We'll start with the low, and that is Sanchez in goal. -1. It's not ideal at all. Especially with the certain cycling GK on the bench. Moving on to defence, a bit more disappointment. I was really disappointed with that Chelsea clean sheet wipe. I think they should have kept that clean sheet, and it was that one lapse in concentration that can lose clean sheets. And I think that's the key thing we have to remember about defenders. We're probably going to talk about going big at the back, but remember, those clean sheets could go at any given moment. Talking of clean sheets, Trent Alexander-Arnold didn't get one, but still managed to get 12 points for me. Fantastic result. Me and Josh have been talking about that incoming Trent Alexander-Arnold hole, and there it is. It came in due time. Same goes for Cancelo. Wow, what a performance from City. I know Josh isn't going to be too pleased that Cancelo performed so well, but obviously the FPL points make up for it. In midfield, Foden, maybe a bit unlucky not to get more points than he did. Smith Rowe, wow, I was buzzing when I saw he had those that goal and those points. Rafinha, again, he just keeps on producing, that boy. He's been a pretty underrated asset this season, in my opinion, with so many good 5.3 to 5.5 million assets in midfield. I think Rafinha's just gone a little bit under the radar, being priced at a little bit more, but he is returning points. Son, I mean, Spurs had no shots on target in their fixture, and, bit disappointing, but I think with the fixture run that Spurs have, you've got to have at least one of those Spurs attackers in. Salah, don't really need to say much about him. He's kind of like the set and forget captain at this point. And then Tony up front, again, disappointing. Why did I bring him in on the wild card? Because there's not too many options up front, to be honest. And on the bench, Antonio and Livramento, the only ones scoring any sort of points.
Awesome. So, Stephen, what do you think about Ben's team?
Yeah, I mean, I like the look of it. I mean, yeah, I think you've got most bases covered. I think Tony was an unlucky one. I think the stats were there, and you'd have hoped you got more from that. But I think, I like the look up of your team at the moment.
Yeah,
Josh, thoughts?
Yeah, not too bad. Me and you have actually very similar teams.
Yeah,
FPL Liam pointed out on Instagram, I think this week.
Yeah.
So I can't really slay it too much because I'll be doing myself injustice, but not too bad. And like you said, with that Tony pick, I'll speak about that more as well. I think Brentford are one of those teams. I feel like everyone was so hyped about them going into last week, and then all of a sudden, everyone's just rushed off them because one game and they against Norwich, and they haven't managed to score. Well, those assets anyway, Tony and Mbuemo. So it's a difficult one, but yeah, I'll move on to my team now. As I said, very similar to Ben's. I got 66 this week. We are up to 37,000 in the world, so not doing too badly. Could be a lot better though if we had made some right decisions earlier on. Sanchez -1, like you said, unlucky when Ben Foster's on the bench, but I'm never going to play Ben Foster at Arsenal when Sanchez is playing Newcastle. It's just one of those captain hindsight things. The defense was unbelievable. Reece James getting that assist was lovely. Trent 12 points, Cancelo 14 points against my Man United team. I was like, I'm not benching him with the way that we're playing at the minute, and there he is, 2 assists, lovely jubbly. Livramento 6 points is great as well. He's always there. Came off the bench for me, which was awesome. Son 3 points, disappointing. I thought Spurs looked really lackluster, to be honest, but I'm hoping for bigger and better things in the future. Rafinha 9 points. He seems like he's doing quite well right now. Obviously returned the last 2 weeks. It's difficult to get rid of him. I know his fixtures aren't the best, but I think he'll stay there for now. Foden again, unlucky, hit the post in that Derby game. Salah getting that I can't even say the word, obligatory return. I can't even say it. But he's only played once this season, and that was against Burnley, I do believe. So not maybe as many returns. Obviously, only the assist last 2 weeks, but hey, 24, 13, 13. I don't think anyone's going to take their captaincy off him. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Mbuemo and Tony, just so unlucky. Like, they obviously had that offside goal. A couple of them, I think, ruled out. Tony assist to Mbuemo goal. If that would have counted, we'd have been laughing. But it's one of those. I think having one still was not necessarily the worst thing in the world, though. But with Newcastle, Everton don't look great. Tottenham, let's see how they get on. And Leeds, Watford, I think that next 5's not too bad if you need to keep hold of them. Foster, as I mentioned, was on the bench, of course. Again, never going to play him. Iheanacho was the guy who came off for me, who didn't play. Just went for him as a punt on the wild card. Never really paid off. Seems like Rodgers doesn't really favour him this season, which is surprising because I think he's looked quite lively when he has played. And then obviously Van Dijk I benched, as I didn't really fancy Liverpool to keep that clean sheet, which was a good prediction. What do you think, boys?
Yeah, from me, very solid again. I mean, I can't complain. I think doing better than my team this week. I think, the defense is huge. I mean, Trent and Cancelo are just such good options at the moment, just non-stop attacking returns. So, I think you're in good stead. Yeah.
What about you, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, not too much again to say about it. I've just, it's classic that Josh gets the lucky with Iheanacho, I think it's fair to say. I think we were all expecting him to come off the bench at some point in that game. He didn't, and I think the Livramento points probably welcome in Josh's team.
Yeah, definitely. So, FPL Eze, do you want to bring up your team if you can? It's just like a share screen at the bottom, and then we'll go through yours as well.
Yeah, sure. I've had to do it, so I'm not on a desktop because my thingy crashed, so I might not be able to bring it up, unfortunately.
That's all right. No worries.
Talk us
through it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so I complete the set of the Sanchez owners in goal, a nice -1 there. So, that was a bit frustrating. I had a back 3 of Cancelo, which was really nice. Ben White, who got 8 points, which also very nice. Take that. And I had Christensen. So, to be fair, with everyone having mainly two Chelsea defenders, I actually wasn't too upset when that goal went in. So, didn't mind that. But the big thing with my defence is I don't own Trent at the moment. So, he's hurting me. I mean, when West Ham scored, I was like, yes, thank goodness he's not going to hurt me today. And then, of course, he goes and scores a free kick and gets an assist. So that was painful. But yeah, so into midfield, Salah captain, of course. I had Havertz who got a goal, which was nice. I think Havertz definitely owes me some points after the whole captaincy shenanigans a couple of weeks ago. So nice just to get a return from him. I also had Mbuemo, which, as you've already spoken about, frustrating one. And I also started Aliso. I ran a Twitter poll on Friday night. Who do I start, Aliso or Livramento? And Livramento won the poll, but I went against them because I'm probably too Palace biased and got a 9-0 points as he came off the bench and got booked. But yeah, I'll take that on the chin if Palace are winning 2-0 every week, so I don't mind that. And then, yeah, into the forwards, I had basically no goals anywhere. Vardy got 2 points, had an assist ruled off for just offside for Lookman, which was a shame. Antonio as well. Somehow he's avoiding points when West Ham seem to be scoring every week. And I'm still stuck on Ronaldo as well, which I didn't mind last week when he finally got a big return, but wasn't expecting much against City, but hopefully get a lot more this week against Watford. So, yeah, not too much to report there. On my bench, I have Begovic, which means I have a bit of a headache with Sanchez this week. I've got Livramento sat there with 6 points, Semedo with 2, and Musa Sissoko with 1, which means I got 48 points this week. So another pretty average one for me.
Yeah, sounds good. Obviously, that Elise Livramento 50-50 is just. It seems like everyone benched Livramento points at some stage. It's going to happen when there's someone like that cheap. You're never really wanting to play him every week. What's your thoughts on Livramento, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. Realistically, I think you'd be happier, with a Livramento getting 6 points on your bench every week compared to someone who, at that same price point when he was at like 4 million, potentially not even playing every week. So to have a starter at least on your bench, getting a point, I mean, it's better than knowing that there's 0 points on your bench. And if one of your players don't play, then at least you've got like Livramento, who's been a prolific point scorer this week coming off the bench.
Yeah,
he's been a decent little player, hasn't he? As one of those enablers that we've seen like with Wan-Bissaka a few years ago, and obviously Lundstrom as well, which is ideal. But yeah, shall we move on to the next segment, Ben?
Yeah, we'll move on to the next segment. My favourite part of the show is Test Your Guest. Josh, do you want to give it and explain?
Yeah, so Stephen's going to have 60 seconds to answer as many Palace/FPL related questions as possible. Ben's been throwing a few curveballs this season, but we've had some good scores the previous couple of weeks. I think is seven's our record, I'm pretty certain, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, the bar was set almost pretty low at the start of the season, and then bang, straight off the blocks. Who was it? Roberto, the Watford juicer. So, we've brought in another juicer this week to see if they can match the top score. Josh, do you have 60 seconds ready?
Yes, we do.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Gallagher is Palace's top FPL point scorer this season, but how many goals does he have so far in the Premier League?
3.
4. Who is the only Palace player alongside Gallagher to notch 2 assists so far in the Premier League?
Aliso.
Correct. Which Palace goalkeeping/defensive asset has scored the most FPL points so far this season?
Guaita.
Correct. One Palace player has produced an error leading to a goal. Who is that player?
It was Anderson against Leicester.
Correct. How many clean sheets have Palace kept so far in the Premier League?
4.
Correct. Other than Gallagher, who's the most owned Palace FPL asset?
Ooh. Zaha?
Correct. 4 Palace players are already on 3 yellow cards this season. Name 2 of them.
Ward and Mitchell.
Ward and Mitchell isn't one of them. So over the whole FPL season, which Palace asset has been transferred out by the most managers?
Zaha.
Correct. We'll give you that
6.
one as well because I started the question before a minute was up. So 6.
Take that. I'll take that.
Wow.
The Juicers know their stuff.
They do know their stuff. I mean, we're going to have to get back on the messaging to Ash and Nick and just be like, look, your recruitment is top notch.
Yeah, definitely doing a good job. Some good questions there, good answers. Gallagher one, I was like, is it 4? Is it? And then 3. gutted. But he's been playing so well. He's been a surprise for me personally, because I thought, is he really going to get that much game time? And then you've seen him play. It almost reminds me of Lampard in the way that he plays, just like arriving late in the box and stuff. What's your thoughts been on him? Has he been that main man, or is it the team around him that have been creating those chances?
I mean, yeah, he's completely defied my expectations. Like, I knew he was a good young player and all this. And I saw him for West Brom last year and I was like, yeah, he works hard. But I wasn't exactly too excited by him. But God, he's been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they say never fall in love with a lone player. And I think I already have. I mean, it's just the way that he works. Like, every aspect of his game. Like, he's getting, obviously, credit in FPL because he does pop up in the box and score goals and gets assists. But he does so much defensive work as well. I mean, it seems like he's everywhere. So I think, and he just complements our system. For too long, we've relied on is either Zaha or we're rubbish. And now we've got Gallagher, we've got Aliso, we've got Edouard, and we've just got so many more options. I think it just makes all of them better. It just gives all of them more space. And I think, as you say, with him arriving in the box, sort of like Lampard did, it's just, I think he'll keep doing it no matter what happens when Eze comes back. I think he'll keep arriving in the box and keep getting these little returns. And I absolutely love him for it. I think he's great.
Yeah, he sort of reminds me, obviously not really play style wise, but like remember Souček, obviously like the season before, and he's like picking up these odd returns, but he wasn't necessarily an attacking midfielder. That's the sort of vibe I get from him. He's might turn a few people off because he's not maybe like that attacking midfielder like Aliso or something like that, but I think he'll still tick along, like you just said, with a few FPL points. And also, let's touch on Palace's fixtures because they're pretty decent at the minute. Obviously, Burnley this coming weekend, Villa, Leeds, obviously a trip to United, not looking too hard at the minute, and then Everton. Do you think maybe having Palace players / maybe a defender? I've seen a lot of people going for Guaita. Do you think that's a genuine option if you was like, say, wildcarding in the international break?
Yeah, no, I actually really do. I mean, I'm usually one to sort of hold back and maybe swing people away from Palace assets, but the way that we've been playing, I mean, as you say, we've had our hard fixtures now. We've got them out of the way and we've come through them pretty well. So with the good fixtures coming up, I'm all for getting on a Palace defender. And I think people like Guaita, people like maybe Mitchell, if he does get forward a bit more, I think are good options because our defence has been so solid and that gives us the platform to go and attack more as well. I think in previous seasons, we've been trying to defend so much, we've forgotten how to attack. But now our defence is sorted. We can do both things. We can defend and attack well. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how we do over these next couple of weeks with a good run.
Yeah, it's looking good. Vieira, for me, surprised me a lot. When I saw the appointment, I was like, nah, relegation fight again. And then he's turned it around. What's your thoughts on the Vieira and the Palace boys, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely thought he come in. I was thinking not a great manager, really good squad. And he's kind of like proved everyone wrong because, you know, previously in management, he hasn't, you know, set the world alight. And I think this is where he's just come into his own. He's gone, you know what, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. And he started off really well. Now let's see if he can kind of maintain that. Like the period coming up is a really testing one for any manager, really, the Christmas / New Year period. So once he comes out of that, we could see Palace in a really strong position, or we could see them fall away just a little bit. But for the sake of Aliso, I'm really hoping that they continue this good form.
Yeah, good stuff. Right, we'll move on to in the next segment. We're going to review some teams this week. As it's international break, we thought, why not? We'll put it out there because we know everyone loves their team getting reviewed. So we've asked people to send them to our DM. If you haven't already, by all means, send them over on our Instagram DM. It's literally just at FPLGraduates, as it always is. So we got Raymond's here. I know he tunes in pretty much every week. So his team's here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I can't actually zoom it in anymore. But I'll run it through if you can't. So we've got Steele in goal, as Sanchez is obviously on the bench, suspended. Azpilicueta, Chilwell, Trent, Ben White, Havertz, Salah captain, Foden, Tony, Antonio, St. Maximin, and then on the bench he's got Ben Rama, Marcel, and Brownhill. So he's gone for 3 up front, which is surprising for me personally because I think the strikers have been so poor this season. What's your boys' thoughts on that team?
Yeah, so I like the base of it. I think, as you're saying, I think the strikers are where you can really save your money now. I mean, I've got 3 strikers and I want to get rid of one. I want to be playing 2 because I just think there's so much more value now in midfield and in defence. So I'd maybe be considering downgrading even though St. Maximan's going into better fixtures and with a new manager, I suppose you can't really tell what's going to happen. Eddie Howe might have them playing really attacking football, so maybe he is a wait and see. So, but then maybe with Tony, I'd maybe look into downgrading. But I think the core of the team is pretty strong.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, there's a couple of potential ways you can go here. Like, it's quite interesting. Like, I think Kai Havertz, I think his time's probably up now in terms of an FPL option with, Lukaku and Werner looking like they're coming back. So I'd either look to upgrade Havertz and try and save money elsewhere and get someone like Heung-min Son in, or I'd kind of downgrade potentially like someone like Ben Rama to one of those sort of 5.3 to 5.8 million pound midfield assets. You've got Gallagher, you've got Smith Rowe, you've got some really good options in there. So I think there's a bit of flexibility in this team of where you can go. Obviously there's that goalkeeping issue. Is still going to play, is he not? But yeah, the basis of the team is really good. This guy's probably a bit annoyed by Azpilicueta in recent weeks, so might be wanting to make that sideways move as well. But there are plenty of different avenues that you can go down with this team. So just wait and see after the international break, see the injury situation, that sort of thing. But yeah, good team.
Awesome. So yeah, that's Raymond's team. We'll go into requests because I know there's a few people who sent through requests. We go Tien in here. He was on the TikTok live. I remember his name. Let's have a look. So this is his team. He's got Ramsdale, Foster in goal. Trent, Cancelo, Chilwell, James, Livramento, Salah and Buemo, Saka, Rafinha, Brownhill, and then Kane, Tony, and Antonio up front. What's your thoughts, Ben? You start.
Yeah, I like this team. He's gone not template with the Tottenham pick. I think the template pick is to go Heung-min Son. So he's obviously backing Harry Kane to sort of recover his form. And I know recently Kane said, he's still been struggling mentally over that Euros final. And I think once he's finally got that out and said it to the public, it might be a weight off his chest. And we might see Harry Kane start producing some sort of form. So I like that. The only thing that I'd probably say, and I'd probably say it for Josh's team as well, is that Brentford double up going forward. I don't think you need to have that. I think you're probably good going with one of the two and not both of them. Obviously, this week they got a good fixture against Newcastle, but again, they've got Eddie Howe, new manager, bounce. So maybe looking in the next sort of couple of weeks to shift one of them out and again, bring in one of those cheap midfield assets that are performing really well right now could be the move to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that Brentford double up issue. I think if you had to choose one of the two, I'd stick with Tony just because he's on penalties. I know Mbuemo's been looking really good at going forward, but he hasn't really produced the goods. Is there anything you changed in that team, Stephen?
To be fair, not too much. I absolutely love the defence. I think those attacking fullbacks, there's just so much value in that. So I think they're brilliant. Yeah, I think if I was going to make a move, it would be in midfield. Maybe, I think it's harsh. If you went on Saka instead of Smith Rowe, I think you're unlucky that you picked the wrong one. So maybe you could downgrade there because I think Arsenal have had their good fixtures now. And I think Saka may tick along, but I don't think it'll get you explosive returns. So maybe you could downgrade him to someone like a Gallagher or even a Smith Rowe, to be fair, and that's where you can make some money back. But I think the core of the team's really good again. I like it a lot.
Yeah, we've seen some good teams to kick us off, so not too bad there. We'll move into some more requests. We've got a few in here, so we'll go for Caden Lynch now. Here's his team. So this was his last week team. So he had that Sanchez -1, Trent, Cancelo, James, which is lovely points there. Duffy with the 2. So he has that Brighton double up. Foden, Salah, Smith Rowe, Rafinha, and Mbuemo, Antonio. And then he has Gab, Jesus, and Livramento on the bench. So a really, really strong team. Stephen, you can kick this one off.
Yeah, it's a strong team when you're benching Gabriel Jesus. So I think it's actually a really, really good option. I think he seems to completely nailed down that right wing spot now. And I know it's a bit weird, a forward playing out there, and that might be a bit looked down on in terms of FPL, but I think he's playing much better football out there than he was when he was in the middle. And I think Pep really likes him. So I really like that Jesus pick. And I think, especially City's fixtures, I know they're always going to be good because they're Man City, but I think they're really good again going forward. So I really like that. And I think he's a really big differential. And I think that could be good points for him. So I really like that pick.
Yeah, he's definitely ahead of the curve of that triple City. I can see a lot of people hopping on that pretty soon, with Cancelo almost being a must-have for a lot of people. Same with Foden, obviously going into this run. He's looked really good as well, even though maybe not getting the FPL returns. I think Foden's been arguably one of their best attackers in terms of going forward. He's unlucky not to return against United. What do you think, Ben? Would you change much in that?
Honestly, no, I wouldn't change much at all in this team. I think it's pretty well set out to be one of the better teams that I've seen. And I mentioned Jesus the other day on FPL Penguin stream, and I think he's definitely, like Stephen said, a really good differential. I think he's around 10% owned. So yeah, he's definitely one that could, get a lot of points in the next few weeks. And he's sort of like at that price point where he makes it just that little bit easier to jump up to those premiums if they start returning again. So I think in like 2 moves, he could do that pretty easily. So I really like the balance of this team.
Yeah, I think the only thing, if I was being really nitpicky, would be that Brighton double up in defence. I think it's been tough with them. I don't think they've been as solid as maybe last year. The numbers, yes, but maybe not so in the clean sheets. And I think you could maybe upgrade, say, Duffy into maybe a Palace defender, or if you wanted to switch Sanchez to Guaita. I really like the look of Palace's defence. I think they were 19th on the ticker for the fixtures so far this season, and they're in like the top 4 in terms of defences. So they're playing really good defensive football at the minute. So maybe look at doing that. But that again, it's a really, really good team. And if I was nitpicking, that would be my little pick there. We'll go on into another one. We'll do maybe 1 or 2 more, and then we'll get back to everyone. Don't worry if your team has not been looked at. We will reply to all of them. Don't worry. So yeah, we're going Monty Stewart next. So he scored 50 last week. He's gone again, got that Sanchez in goal. Ait Nouri with a 1-pointer. Cancelo 14, Chilwell 2. Salah, Maddison, Rafinha, Havertz, Jimenez, Vardy, and Antonio. He has Azpilicueta, Sissoko, and Williams on the bench. So a little bit different from the teams. The other teams probably more template than this. What would your first move be in this team, Ben?
Oh, I don't know, really. It's hard to say. I think Nuri for me, maybe I'd try and look to get out. Havertz as well, maybe. I like the premise of the team. There's a lot of differential sort of picks in there that could, really get you up the ranks quickly. I think Maddison's a really nice one if Leicester pick up a bit of form. But yeah, like decent team overall. He's got all bases like kind of covered, but he's been a bit differential about it. Yeah, maybe Azpilicueta, Ait Nouri, Havertz, kind of those 3 maybe focus on moving on in the next few weeks. But yeah, strong team overall.
Anything different, Stephen?
No, relatively similar. I think Maddison's a really interesting one because I don't think Brendan Rodgers still knows what his best team is, whether it's a double up of Vardy and Acho and Maddison behind, or whether it's Harvey Barnes and Lookman. So I think he's one of those players. I love watching him play when he's on it, because I think when he does get on form, he'll have 4 weeks in a row where he does score. So if you're ahead of the curve with Maddison, I think it's a really interesting pick. I think just from this team, the glaring obvious thing is there's no Trent, and that's what I look at my team, and that's the exact same thing. So if from my perspective, I'm doing everything I can to get Trent back. So I think anyone without him, I'd probably suggest do the same because he's so good.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think it's an easy one as well. If you just go Aspi and Havertz to maybe like Trent and Gallagher, and then you've got a Palace player as well for their pretty decent run of fixtures, I'd say. So I think it's very, very easy to move off of the players that he's got. And I really like them. I probably wouldn't have Vardy and Maddison, but I quite like the idea behind Maddison, where I think Maddison's quite a streaky player. So if he does get a return, he'll probably get a couple in a row. That's what we've seen like in the previous seasons. We'll do one more team. We'll go to this one, Mark Unison. He hadn't actually sent his team. He just sent a message. We'll go to this one, Somerville, 1997. Let's have a look. He has 2 transfers and he has 3.6 million in the bank. So he has Foster and Sanchez, Trevor Chalobah, Trent Cancelo, Duffy White, Smith Rowe Sarr, Rafinha, Salah, Gray, and then Vardy, Tony, and Antonio up front. It seems like everyone has Tony and Antonio. What's your thoughts on this one, Stephen?
Yeah, again, I think I quite like the team. I think with the Sanchez situation, as he has Foster, I wouldn't make a change there. I think I'd probably just stick it through. As you've got a 4 mil playing keeper, I'd stick with it. I think with the changes I'd look to make would be those sort of mid-price midfielders. Maybe that Damari Gray, I used to have him, and I think Everton have just looked so off the pace, and they just don't look good without especially without Calvert-Lewin. I know Richarlison's just come back in, so I'd maybe think about getting rid of maybe Damari Gray or Ismaila Sarr. I think Watford haven't really had that manager bounce, and I think their fixtures are really tough. So I think maybe replacing one of those for those mid-price players who we've been talking about all night. Maybe a Gallagher or a Smith Rowe. Probably, or he's already got Smith Rowe, hasn't he? But maybe a Gallagher or someone along those lines would probably be what I would do.
Yeah, I think he has 3.6 in the bank, so he could even maybe go Gray to Jota. He hasn't got the triple Liverpool, so and obviously no Firmino at the minute. Mane got injured last night. I'm not sure what the extent of his injury is, but it looks like Jota should get some good minutes in that team, and obviously the AFCON's coming up as well. What else would you change, Ben?
Oh, I mean, he's even got that option potentially of going like Sarr to someone like Son, maybe. There's always an option because of the money in the bank. To be honest, it's looking pretty strong. The only thing I would say is there's no Chelsea fullbacks in there. So maybe trying to, squeeze in a Reece James or a Chilwell might be a sensible option to go with. But yeah, again, all these teams have been really good.
Yeah, it definitely have. So we'll end it there in terms of the team reviews. If you want your team reviewing, send it to our DM. We will get back to everyone. So don't worry if your team hasn't been reviewed in this live stream. We'll message you back. Don't you worry. But yeah, we'll take any questions in the comments now. And then after that, we'll wrap it up. A few people asking a few early, I do believe. So we'll get through a lot of them. So far this season, Ben, how would you say your season's gone?
Interesting question, to be honest. For me, I've kind of been quite steady with my points picking up. I've had a lot of captain returns, mainly because of Salah. There's only once or twice this season I haven't captained him. But yeah, I've been going along steadily. I had a few weeks ago, I had a bit of a blip and dropped to a few places, but overall it's been pretty good. I'm currently sat at 137k in the world, which I'm pretty happy with at the moment. I'm still in touch with that 100k, and I'm looking to kind of push on and try and break 100k again. So yeah, it's been pretty good. Stephen, how's your sort of season been as a whole?
Yeah, so again, I think I was doing pretty well. I think for the first 6-7 game weeks, I was sort of hovering around the 180k mark, and again, I wasn't really going anywhere, but I wasn't doing too much wrong. And then I was pretty happy. But then having that dreadful game week where everyone captained Salah and I had Havertz, so it pushed me down, and I'm still trying to recover from it. And I think I'm obviously not too fussed. I think coming off the season before, I had a crazy good finish. So I think this season I've been more averse to just going for it, and I think that takes the weight off a bit once you've had a good finish. So I've been with that Havertz pick. I've been trying to have a bit more fun with it, and as I say, I think I'm about 530k at the moment, but 2 free transfers over the international break, hoping to recover that. And I still think that the points between ranks is still quite tight. So I think you can still easily make up some, like a couple 100k if you just have a good week. So I'm still pretty happy with where my team's at, and I think I could push on in the coming weeks. So yeah, a relatively okay start to the season, hopefully to get better.
Yeah, it's definitely there's so long left in the season. Like, a lot of people haven't even started using their chips yet. So more than enough time to recuperate a rank, especially 500k. I actually deem that as a really decent rank at this point in the season. So it's looking good. So we'll go through a few questions now. First one, a couple of these already. Jota's popping up. So Jota in for Havertz. For me, I think that's a bit of a no-brainer with him coming into that Liverpool side. What's your boys' thoughts?
Yeah, for me, completely agree. I think Havertz has had his 3-game run when Lukaku was out and Werner was out. I think he's got maybe a goal and assist or whatever he's got in the last 2 weeks. I'd take those points and I'd go. I think Jota playing as a striker in that Liverpool attack, I think it's too good to miss with Firmino injured. So yeah, I think for me, no-brainer.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I think Jota's a really good pick, and if you want to actually make gains on everyone else in those Liverpool games, because everyone's going to have Salah, everyone's going to have Trent, then I think Jota's the way to go to get those points. So I think it's a really safe pick, in my opinion, going for Jota.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that's a full house all round. A similar one here is Jota for Rafinha or hold Rafinha. This is interesting. I think Rafinha's been maybe a better option than Havertz has, certainly in the last couple of weeks. If you boys had Rafinha, would you move him on to Jota?
I've got Rafinha as well. I've been thinking about moving him on. I can't lie. Obviously, the last 2 weeks getting 2 9-point returns is good, but it's also against teams like Leicester and Norwich. Both of those are in the bottom 3 for expected goals conceded this season. So you've got to bear that in mind. And then before that, he didn't get returns against Wolves, Southampton, or Watford. So it's definitely one to consider. I think at this point, at this moment in time, yes, do that Jota move, but wait to make that move. I think is the advice I'd give.
What about you, Stephen? You pro Rafinha or pro Jota?
Yeah, I think this is a really tough one. I don't own Rafinha, so I don't actually have this dilemma. But I think it's been really hard to get rid of him. Just obviously, he's off the back of those 2 9-pointers, and he's just such the talisman for Leeds. I think if they score, it's going to come through him, and I think it's a tough one. I think because Bamford's still out, and I still don't know when he's back. It seems that he's disappeared, but I think that still does sort of hurt Rafinha a little bit because he puts in fantastic crosses, fantastic balls, and sometimes it isn't Bamford on the end of them. So I think if I had to choose, I'd go Jota, but I think it's really tight because Rafinha he's just so good.
Yeah, definitely. I've got Rafinha too, and Rafinha's ownership, expected ownership as well, is sky high. I think it's like around the 60% mark. So if he does get a return, it would be not great, definitely for that rank. But again, Jota, I think Liverpool's fixtures, they're not the worst going forward, and you can just see him just nipping in with those headers from a Trent cross. It seems like it happens almost all the time. I thought he played really well against United as well, Jota. So for me, I generally probably would look maybe to move on to Jota as well. I think Rafinha, like you mentioned, Leeds, they just don't look the team that they looked like last season because of the injuries. And I think that's a big factor in why maybe Rafinha hasn't scored more points than what he already has this season. We'll move on. We'll do a couple more questions here. We'll go with Lynchy Boy. He's got 4.6 million in the bank with 2 transfers. Will Lukaku be back for Game Week 12? And if so, should I put him in over Jesus? So we did speak about Jesus a little bit earlier on, saying that he's a good asset, but would you take a fit Lukaku over Jesus? That's a good question, to be fair.
Stephen, I'll let you go first.
Yeah. I think we're looking at each other because it's a tough one. I think Lukaku is obviously a great finisher, and I think he will score lots of goals when he's back fit, but I'm not sure I'd do it for Jesus. I think he's playing in probably the best side definitely one of the best sides in the league. And I think he will continue to score. I mean, with that 4.6 in the bank, I'd be tempted to upgrade. So maybe if you have a Tony or maybe even an Antonio, because I know their fixtures are tough, I'd be tempted to maybe upgrade if you had your sights set on Lukaku. But I think with Lukaku, it's still a wait and see if he's back straight after the international break. But with the money in the bank, you've got the option. So I think you can keep an open mind and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think although Lukaku came in all guns blazing, similar to Ronaldo, we saw before his injury, he had a few weeks where he just didn't get any chances to him. And I think that's a common theme. We saw it with Havertz as well. He hasn't really had many chances playing in the number 9 role. Chelsea, if you see their heat map where their goals come from, it's particularly the wide areas where we see the fullbacks, maybe the wide attackers like Mount had that hat trick. That's where their goals tend to come from in this Tuchel system. So it doesn't necessarily mean Lukaku won't get goals, but I think it's just lesser of effect. And for me, I'd keep Jesus right now. I think he looks really, really good at that right-hand side. He's keeping Mahrez out of the team, so he's got to be doing something right. What's your thoughts, Ben? Would you keep Jesus?
Yeah, I'd probably keep Jesus. I think he holds better value. And to be honest, I think the fixtures are pretty similar for those two teams. They've got like a couple of difficult ones coming up. But, you know, with City playing that Everton team who defensively this season haven't looked too great at all. I mean, that Tottenham, you know, anyone would keep a clean sheet if Tottenham didn't put a shot on target. So there it goes. But yeah, I think Jesus is probably better value. And like Stephen said, like that you could upgrade elsewhere with 4.6 because that's a big amount. Like you could upgrade like someone whose budget to a premium option very easily with that amount of money. Yeah,
definitely. Right, we'll take one more question. It's going to be this one from LOL. Is Wilson or Jesus? It's interesting because obviously Wilson's been talked about a lot, I think, this week, is fair to say, with Eddie Howe coming in, Newcastle having a better run of fixtures. Who would you go for? Obviously, Wilson's a little bit cheaper than Jesus. What are you saying, Stephen?
Yeah, I've seen the hype around Wilson this week. I know a lot of people, because Newcastle have got a couple good fixtures and there's always that inevitable manager bounce. And I think, obviously, Wilson and Howe, they understand each other. I think they were Wilson was Hal's go-to man at Bournemouth, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how Newcastle get on in these next couple of weeks. I think I actually really like Wilson as a pick, but I think because it's tough because of the money, I'd stick with Jesus just because it's guaranteed attacking team. Like City are always going to score goals. But if you need the money elsewhere, I don't think Wilson's a bad downgrade at all. I think he could do really well for his price. So I think Jesus for me, but more than happy to be on Wilson over the next couple.
Yeah, they're two very good options. So that wraps up another FPL Friday. It's not as exciting this week, so there's no deadline, but we will be back again next week for a lovely deadline. Thanks, FPL Eze, for coming on. Make sure you go follow him. His links are in the description. How you found it?
No, absolutely loved it. Thanks for inviting me, guys. Always fun to talk about FPL, even if there's not any games tomorrow. But yeah, thanks for inviting me. Been a pleasure.
No worries. As I said, follow him on Twitter. His link's in the description below. He goes loads of good content over there. So make sure you check him out.
Yeah, guys. And please remember, as always, to like, comment, subscribe. Go follow the FPL graduates. Go follow FPL Eze. And as per always, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And I've been Stephen.
Hey.
And we'll see you guys
later.